University is not high school. Here, failing is costly, and not just in terms of grades, but in terms of money. You can't afford to let procrastination make an entire semester slip away from you. In this guide, I show you exactly how to turn university into a win-win on all fronts. An indispensable ally here is Rate My Professor. You can actually choose your teachers based on reviews. You just enter your university and the professor's name to see the rating, and thus avoid courses with nightmare teachers. Before you meet the professor, do some research. He often has publications that he talks about on the faculty site. You can use this as a starting point for conversation. If you chose the professor based on positive reviews, mention what you found interesting in their classes. Or, if you found information about trends in their teaching, such as emphasis on certain topics or teaching techniques, don't hesitate to ask for clarification on how this might affect your learning. This allows you to leave a good impression. Don't expect teachers to really teach you the subject. Much of the learning will be on your shoulders. You will feel like you came to university more to take exams than to really learn anything. But that's part of the game.
My disappointment is immeasurable.
After all, that's where your commitment comes in. Take your studies seriously, and don't skip class too often. Homework is optional for most classes, but do it anyway, because it is a way to stay on top of the subject. Light subjects are great for raising your grade point average, and try to keep it above 3.5 in order to apply for scholarships. This will help you a lot. Before paying exorbitant amounts for textbooks, try a cheaper alternative. For example, if you unknowingly access this site and search for the title of the book in the search bar, you may accidentally download it for free. If you can't find it here, you can try these other sites. Or you can rent them from Amazon or Chegg at a reduced price. Another useful tool is Quizlet, which allows you to study using flashcards created by other students. You just search for the subject you want to study and click on the flashcard. Use ChatGPT for essay writing, but always check your answers. University is not only study, it is also the time when you meet new people, starting with your roommate. Talk to him and try to make friends right away. Define together the ground rules you need to abide by. No need to draw up a roommate agreement. Simply ask him what time he prefers to wake up, what time he goes to bed, if there is anything that bothers him, if you have any quirks that might bother him. If you are someone who likes to study with music and your roommate prefers total silence, it is best to discuss this right away. Use headphones or set times when everyone can have the space they prefer. If you don't talk, you can't solve problems. Learn to be flexible. You can't control everything, but you can seek intelligent compromises. At the beginning of your freshman year, you may feel isolated by the transition to a new environment or by academic pressure. An effective way to overcome this feeling is to join study groups. These groups are a great way to get to know your fellow students better. By working together on projects or preparing for exams, you will have the opportunity to establish a natural and collaborative dialogue. If you have special interests, such as sports, music, reading, look for clubs or university events that focus on these topics. Quality of connections is more important than quantity, so don't feel you have to make friends with everyone. Find people with whom you really have affinity and build relationships from common interests. University is also about having fun. Between a marathon of notes and a nap in the library, there's always time for those evenings that start with "I'm only going for an hour" and end at 5 a.m. These legendary events are a perfect mix of overly loud music, drinking games, mayhem, and philosophical discussions on vital topics. However, the parties are also a great way to make friends. Just remember not to drink too much in the first few weeks, or you'll end up on TikTok in a viral video, and avoid these mistakes that can jeopardize the rest of your life. University lasts 4 years. The first year, you do networking. The second year, look for paid internships. The third year, don't stress yourself so much. The fourth year, prepare your thesis. Most courses include one exam at the beginning of the semester, one in the middle of the semester, and 2 or 3 final exams. These exams make up a big chunk of your final course grade, so if you miss even one, you are in trouble. You see final exams as the final bosses in video games. If you fail them, you won't get a second chance, and may have to retake the entire course the following year. That is why it is essential to be well organized. Managing time in university is a huge challenge. Between lectures, endless hours of studying, extracurricular activities, a possible part-time job, and the little free time, time management becomes so important. Every Sunday night, use a planner to plan your weekly schedule in advance. Divide your days into blocks of time devoted to specific activities, avoiding multitasking like the plague. Each block should last a minimum of 30 minutes and a maximum of 1.5 hours. This could be a hypothetical schedule for a day. The night before, identify the 2 or 3 most important activities for the next day that you absolutely must do, and be sure to complete them before the others. This is because in the morning, your energy is at a level. Then in the evening, it drops. Studying in one of the campus libraries is a great way to focus. Libraries offer a quiet environment, away from the distractions typical of dorm rooms, where the buzz of conversations can easily make you lose focus.
Another one.
A good study technique is the tomato rule. It consists of working in concentrated 25-minute sessions, followed by a 5-minute break. After 4 cycles, give yourself a longer break of 15/30 minutes. This method helps you improve concentration and prevent mental fatigue. Avoid wasting time because every minute counts when you are trying to balance study, work, and social life. Use downtime, such as moving between classes, lunch breaks, or working out at the gym to listen to useful and interesting content. This way, you optimize your time. Here are some tips that will save your life. Don't eat lunch at midday. Don't have dinner at 6 p.m. Go to the gym in the morning. Don't do laundry on Sunday evening. Buy a good bike to get around quickly. Set 10 alarm clocks the night before finals. Get at least 7 hours of sleep. We are not vampires. Sleep is vital. Call mom and dad often. Otherwise, they will worry and come to visit you at university and showing pictures of when you were little to your friends. We need to talk about a concept that is used in so many areas, but also works perfectly in the study: leverage. Imagine 2 people working in the same office. One earns $10 an hour, the other $30. What's the difference? It's not the time they spend working, it's the value they create in that time. The second person has more leverage because they're producing 3 times the results with the same effort. So if you're using an ineffective strategy, maybe you only learn 10% of what you study in an hour. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in it. You're just wasting time and energy. On the other hand, if you use a high leverage strategy, you can learn as much as 80% in the same amount of time.
Okay, but how do I apply this to studying?
Let's look at 2 practical strategies you can start using right away. One for calculation-based test and one for conceptual test. Let's start with calculation-based test, such as math, physics, or any other subject that requires problem solving. To use leverage here, you need to focus on the problems that will give you the highest return on investment. So for each main topic, I'd recommend picking just the 2 toughest problems, because working on 2 problems per topic is way more manageable than burning yourself out with 100 that just drain your energy.
Well, at least it's not raining.
Once you've solved those, everything else will feel way easier. It's like focusing on the main knots in a tangle. Once you untie those, the rest of the threads just fall into place. After picking your exercises, take them on calmly, but don't stop at a simple done. Spend some time examining the mistakes and challenges you encountered. Where did you mess up? Which step tripped you up? It's during this review that the real learning happens. This method works great because it combines simplicity and effectiveness. It helps you stay focused because calculations require attention, and the strategy is easy to apply. Much better. The idea of leverage also works great for theory-based tests. You can use the flashcards, which allows you to focus only on key information while saving you a ton of time. Creating them is quite simple. You can use platforms like Quizlet, which lets you review your flashcards digitally, or ask a ChatGPT to generate custom flashcards based on your notes.
Okay, but I've got an exam next week and still need to finish studying.
Well, here's the deal. To crush your upcoming exam, there are 3 key steps you need to follow to get the most out of your study time. The first step is to prioritize your subjects. At this stage, it can be very helpful for you to use the Eisenhower matrix to divide your subjects into urgent and important, not urgent but important, urgent but not important, and not urgent and not important. This way, you can focus on the most important stuff. The second step is to cover the basics. Once you've figured out the topics, instead of diving in headlong and memorizing all the details such as random formulas, vocabulary terms, complicated examples, quotes, try to establish a general understanding of the subject. Ask yourself some basic questions like, why do we study electromagnetism? What phenomena does it explain? How would I explain it to a 6-year-old? Once you've got a solid foundation, you can dig deeper into the topic. Next, create a realistic study schedule. With limited time on your hands, it's super important to plan your study time smartly. Start by figuring out how many hours you actually have each day, factoring in time for rest, school, working out, play Call of Duty. Just kidding. Now is not the time for distractions. Once you've got your available hours, break your study sessions into 60 to 90 minute chunks with 10 to 15 minute breaks in between, so you can keep your focus without freaking out. With these methods, not only will you study smarter, but you'll also find that every hour you put in is worth way more. Distraction is the fertilizer on which the procrastination plant grows. First, reduce distracting stimuli. Yes, I'm talking about the phone and every notification that seems urgent, but we both know it's not. Put it on airplane mode. Tidy up your desk. Gag those who annoy you. I'm kidding, but you get the point. Take advantage of the immersion principle. When you are immersed in studying a subject, keep your brain busy with distractions. At this stage, it is important to adopt a study method that keeps you engaged without the time to be bored. If you do a Google search, you will find many kinds of methods. Our brain tends to escape discomfort. If you feel bored while studying, maybe because the subject is too easy or it is too difficult, your mind will look for escape routes. And that's where you start playing Minecraft. Try to think about what might have caused you that discomfort and adapt the study to your needs. After that, to death with multitasking. Doing so many things at once is counterproductive because it increases opportunities for distraction and thus procrastination. Do one thing, but do it well. That is why it is important to be organized. Start by setting long, medium, and short-term study goals, and then organize your study cycles. These are some methods you can use. Have you ever noticed that inner voice that reads every word for you? It's called subvocalization, and one of the main reasons we do it is because we were taught it in school. During our early learning years, we were encouraged to read aloud, which in the early years is helpful, but as we grow older, it can slow down our reading process. Doing a Google search, I found a scientific technique that helped me reduce subvocalization, and I will tell you about it in a moment. It's not about doing weird exercises to train your eyes like setting a metronome to 120 beats per minute, and with each beat, shifting your gaze from one side of the page to the other. Spoilers, these exercises just waste your time, because what happens is that you read quickly but didn't understand anything.
Oh, not good.
Try doing this exercise. Follow this moving object with your eyes. Now try to follow this circle. You will notice that in this case, your vision goes in jerks. These jerks are called saccades and occur when the eye goes from one word to another or from one object to another while stationary. The technique I found exploits this very principle. As the study shows, saccadic movements follow a rhythm that facilitates efficient processing of information. Instead of reading all the words, we can skip words we don't need, such as nouns, adjectives, verbs, articles, prepositions, using saccadic movements. This reduces subvocalization, making us read faster.